Hi, everybody. Today we're going to look at Gary Melton's interview with Mitch Snow's third wife. Uh, let's, it's not Candace. I forget her name. It's, anyway, it's his third wife. And I mean, what everybody's got to remember is they're opening all of these podcasters. I mean, the people who've been in the business, the journalists who have been in the business for a long time, they know about the lawsuits. But podcasters, you better be careful what you're saying about people. Like, nobody's doing any research, and then they go out and just repeat what they've heard in like telephone, and really setting themselves up for lawsuits. So we're going to get into it. Let's see. Oh, is this not it? That's not the one that I want. No, and can't forget the audio. Oh gosh. At least I'm happy to see that I'm not the only one who okay, why is this doing this? This is not what I want. That's what I want. Okay, we've got our audio there. Okay, so actually I had wanted to I had wanted to do it on here for some reason. Oh, I don't have the. Anyway, we'll do it on the other one. But I did a little PowerPoint slide. I love these little guys. So anyway, you got the old dinosaurs going after Candace Owens. You have this shark of the wife that's coming in here. And yeah, everybody's on shrooms, it seems like. This is Candace Owens' little cat over there. So anyway, I PowerPoint slides are really cool. You can do a lot of fun stuff with them. So anyway, let's get into it.
Oh, we got Lionel Pell. Of course you can say.
Okay, let's do.
It's been a heavy topic. I have been talking with family members of Mitchell Snow himself, going through more court records than I've ever gone through in my life. And we got a lot of information for you. And but this has been just completely I don't know, exhausting, both physically, mentally, emotionally. It's exhausting.
Okay, I just want to say he may have gone through court records, but as I pointed out in previous videos, the courts, this is all this manipulations. I mean, I'm hoping people will be interested in this case, because I haven't gotten all of the information and all of the evidence. But let's just say that I'm a hound dog by this time and I smell a trail. Yeah, so I hope that we do expose it, because it is these manipulations, which you'll find. I'm not sure if we hear it on this one, where there's lots of restraining orders, and Mitch is trying to see his son, have some sort of visitation with his son, and this is where the restraining orders, that this is the tactic. So this is where I've been working on this for 20 years. I've been working internationally. I'm working on constitutional rights, due process and rule of law, and also on human rights conventions. So I'm working on all different, legal systems. So I don't know all of the details. And this is precisely where you see how all of the infighting's going on here. Well, that's the same thing I've been dealing with for all of this time with all of the other activists. And, instead of podcasters, they've got nonprofits, but same can of worms. Uh, so yeah, it's I don't have this is precisely what we need a government for, an authority, so we can say, okay, we got a shit show here. Can somebody sift through all of this paperwork and put the dots together? I've done a lot, but there are a lot of other people who have done a lot. The information is out there, and it just needs to be brought together. That's why I'm getting real pissed off with how they're attacking Mitch Snow, because he's a victim, and you'll see the tactic. They're trying to get the money away from him. So the 140,000 that he even told Candace Owens that he didn't do it for money, and she could keep it. Somebody could give me a computer that has better streaming capabilities. I'm using an avatar because really the resolution is horrible. So anyway, these are all manipulations that are going on in the courts, and it's violating everybody's rights. It's creating dissent. It's being used as a transference of wealth, and we see that in various different capacities in various different arenas. It's just not. It's my specialty is family courts, but it's not just there. It's all over the place. So really, the courts, the judicial system, it's a shit show. And that's what I'm hoping Candace Owens will understand after her meeting on X. What was the day before yesterday now? She was like, well, Mitch Snow, that's not my problem. Well, no, but I'll tell you, your kids, this is Rumpelstiltskin type of stuff. So your kids are on the line, all of you ladies out there, all of you people with underage children, you have no custodial rights over your children. The state can come in and take your children anytime they freaking please. While everybody's been grappling up the ladder of success, the courts have really done a job. All the crap. So we'll continue.
But, one of the things, and I talked about this last night, and it's worth repeating. Cameron, contacted me, and I put him in contact with his, half sister that he's never met. So we have all these siblings that have never met one another. And what is really cool is that they are meeting. And in spite of, having the biological father that they have, they're pretty intent on building relationships. And
okay. Once again, I'm going to interject in here. We'll see how we go on, that Mitch really has tried to keep contact with his kids. We saw that in the last, in the interview with Mitch's eldest son, who said his father had tried to contact him, but his mom alienated him from his father. He was a deadbeat dad, nothing to do with him. So Mitch, and they had, because there's the eldest son from the first wife, 2 children apparently from the second wife, and everybody had been separated, and that was not because of Mitch. Mitch had wanted a relationship with all of his children. I mean, okay, we're not going to put Mitch up for Father of the Year, I imagine, and probably not Husband of the Year. However, maybe not, because we do see a pattern. He gets involved, and we see this with women as well. It's like, my Lord, lady, how many times are you gonna pick a guy who is beating you or abusing you? I mean, I always say my ex-husband, never was he physically violent, never was I afraid of that. It just, he lost it. And I'm sorry, like, have a little sympathy for me. Nobody does. They just like, ha, 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 ha. But I'm not making that mistake twice. I mean, come on. So, we don't have enough information to really judge. I mean, Mitch, seems like a decent person, no better, no worse than anybody else out there. And really, what we're seeing here is it's the women. And the good thing that has come out of this, but see how he transformed it. The good thing that's come out of this is the kids are now contacting each other and communicating with the deadbeat dad. It wasn't the deadbeat dad, it was the bitch mothers. See how they turn it around?
I think if nothing else positive comes out of that, that's what's going to happen out of that. So I'm glad that's happening. I'm glad to be a part of that. And I really appreciate the courage in everything that everybody has come on the show and displayed. And it's, this isn't fun. All right, this isn't fun. It's drama. It's definitely not fun for me. Last night we got multiple death threats. Last night I was also getting doxxed all over X. Let me tell you.
Okay, well, Gary, I've had death threats. Oh Lord, I believe me. Try. You're a big guy. I mean, but try somebody twice your size, twice your weight. It's not a fair fight. I've been living that way 20 years, and since I've been back in Washington, have I gotten any sympathy? No, the Ukrainian refugees, they get all sorts of assistance and stuff. I get fired from the restaurant who's assisting the Ukrainians uh, because I represent white privilege and I'm efficient. And I was seeing what a shit show the managers were making of the place, and they didn't want me around watching that in Washington D.C.
Something, people. If you come after me, you better be right with Jesus, and I'm not even kidding. So, you threaten me or my family, you step onto my property, it's not going to end well for you. So, if you want to play games, I'm not the guy to play games with. What we will do tonight is,
I mean, that property he got from working for a government which has denied me my rights when my property was stolen. And my parents as well. That's another story. Well, I'll get into that in other videos. So, it's like, excuse me, Gary, everybody's told me for the past 20 years, it's the luck of the draw. Well, if you've got somebody who wants to come in and challenge these are the rules that you are making. You are supporting. I mean, I, I am kind of, how shall I say, attacking Gary a little bit here, but it's for his ideologies. It's not for him. I mean, he's just a product of his MLK, training and what he's been told. So, I certainly would not, like him, well, you come after me and I'm going to come after you. No, that's not my attitude. Uh, but I am, hope that Gary will take a look at himself and in the mirror and see how really he's not helping the situation here whatsoever.
as always, we will definitely read your comments, take your questions. I will prioritize super chats. Make sure you like, subscribe, share our
Oh yeah, this I love it. Okay, yeah, you guys are gonna read my comments. That's not happening. And prioritize the super chats. I'm like barely. I'm like, oh shit. The restaurant where I'm working is closed for 2 weeks, so that's 2 weeks no income. So I'm gonna be like, just to cover rent. Sorry, I don't have money to send you guys. So yeah, you're not going to read any of my comments. You don't pay any attention. You're just like the congressional members who get voted into office and then ignore the constituency. Just like everyone. I mean, I keep on telling all of the ruling elite, and believe me, I know on both sides of the pond. I mean, incredible. The United States, California, Arizona, Texas, Louisiana, Florida, Virginia, DC, New York. While we get into, Connecticut, kind of suburbs of New York, but then London, Paris, Madrid, uh, Brussels a bit, and Bogota as well. Uh, you know, all of these people, they've canceled me because they don't want any unpleasantness. They don't want anything raining on their parade and making money off of the injection of money into the banking system and financial markets in a bubble that is going to eventually explode in everybody's faces. Some of you will die. A lot of us will die. People my age, a bit older, lots of them will die. Um, but it's your kids and grandkids who are going to pay the price.
Content. I've been thinking long and hard about this whole thing. And this is due to Candace's choice. Even for with what I'm doing, this is outside of like just Charlie Kirk. You know, we started this whole thing trying to figure out what happened with Charlie Kirk, completely open-minded, wanting answers, not trusting our government, and trying to verify what the truth was. And that's what this quest started off as. And then as we get into it, and I've been down there, talked to multiple eyewitnesses, see what the actual evidence is. And, you know, the evidence points to one thing. There are still lots of questions. I still don't think that Tyler Robinson acted alone. I think and we're going to be getting heavy into that going into the end of this week.
So we're all in agreement. Where is the problem? I mean, what the fuck? I don't swear. Ask my son. I don't swear, and I don't swear often. I have been swearing a lot more in the past 20 years than I have in the rest of my life, just because the situation s'oblige. God.
Week and into next week. That's where we're going to start directing our focus. But unfortunately, you know, what I realized real quick is that this became bigger than just Charlie Kirk. This became without a doubt, some of it was intentional, some of it's not intentional, some of it's just people capitalizing and exploiting the situation. But this has become a national psyop, really almost a global psyop. I mean, that's the reach that Candace has. That's the reach that this case has had. And folks, if Americans can be tricked in the way that they are by Candace and her lies and her lack of evidence, and it's just accusation without any.
Okay, I am sick and tired. Go back to the speaking points. You know, Candace Owens, her lies. Candace has not told any lies. A lie is when you know something is false and you say it anyway. Candace has not said she, you know, just like in any investigation, just like in any place in the world, in your life, you're going to make little mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. And then you rectify it. She has not told any lies. Everybody around her are the ones who've been telling the lies about her.
Evidence, and they are fooled by this, and they continue to push the narratives that they are. Man, we can be fooled by anybody, and that's what I saw, and that's what I see now. As far as, and that's what's motivated me. Like,
we can be fooled by anybody. Anybody who says that to me, I'm like, how many people do you try and fool?
We can't stand for that in this country. Like, the truth has to prevail. It is the foundation of a democracy. And I know we're not a democracy. We're a constitutional republic.
Ooh, when he said this may have gone over the heads of many, many, many people. But yeah, no, not me. I know we're not a democracy. We're a constitutional republic. It's really, really important. Gonzalez, Linehan versus USA 2011, Gary Melton. I hope you'll check into that. Anybody else who's interested in the subject, check into that. We'll have a discussion. Yeah, that's the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights. So wait a second. Yes, I agree that we are a constitutional republic, but we are also a democracy. This is a very important. When he said that, I was like, it wasn't like a ding ding ding. It was like bam bom bam bom bam bom bam bom. This is in English, so the English people won't know. Oh God, how do we? I don't even know how we say that in English. Anyway, that's in French. That's what a fire engine says, and all of the Americans in French would have a real good discussion on. Wait a second. Oh God, It's not even coming to me how we say it in English, but anyway, that was always a discussion. In French, it's bam, bom, bam, bom, bam, bom.
Public, but we still vote democratically, right? So when we have people that their vote counts, they have to be operating with truth. They're trying to trick you into believing that TPUSA is bad because the Democrats.
Nobody's trying to trick anybody into believing anybody. They're just putting out evidence. That's Gary Melton. You know, I'm sorry, but anybody who is always, oh, they're trying to trick you. That's because that's your modus operatum.
And other operatives wanted to end TPUSA before Charlie Kirk was dead. That's why the Biden administration went after them before the election. They were trying.
Okay, nobody in the podcasters asking for accountability wanted to get rid of TPUSA. And if you're talking about Candace, that's not true. And what's this about the Biden administration, IRS, going after TPUSA and trying to shut down its nonprofit status? Was that political or was that because something was going on? If it's political, not a good thing. And it was because something was going on, not a good thing either. Either side, not a good thing.
Trying to end TPUSA then. And now that Charlie is gone, what people are pissed off about is that, you know, TPUSA didn't just pack up the tent and go home. That's what they want. And that's what they're pissed off about. And nothing has changed. People that believe in TPUSA, nothing has changed with TPUSA between then and now. Nothing's changed.
That is not true at all. Charlie Kirk was saying he was done with Israel. That's flipped. There's a lot of things that this oh God, what I don't even know or remember her name. The one who called JD an assassin. I always laugh when I hear that. Oh, sorry. I just had a good laugh out of that one. I mean, never would Charlie Kirk have put her up on the stage. So don't say nothing has changed. Oh my God, that was too funny. That woman is evil. Evil. Oh, we're going to get it. Starkey Farmer on that one.
I know that they're trying to paint that picture. They're trying to turn Erica into some evil person. The fact of the matter is that if you believe in conservative principles and values and you're a Republican, the best choice that we have is TPUSA, supporting them. And then for them to be painted as villains when they're the real victims in all this, it's just unbelievable. And once I got to that conclusion, once I decided, like, okay, look, it's very clear to me that TPUSA wasn't involved with this or anything else, like, yeah, I'm going to stand up and say what I believe because I don't care what you think. I don't care what anybody thinks. And I'm going to say what I believe, and that's what I believe, plain and simple. And I haven't seen any evidence this is otherwise. Now, as far as tonight's show goes, one thing that I want to address right up the front is, you know, people keep telling me, well, all that matters is that he was there. Well, no, that's not all that matters. That's, matter of fact,
of course, that is all that matters in the context of Candace Owens' investigation. In this, I agree with Candace saying that's not her problem. You know, if Mitch Snow is going through a contentious divorce and issues and stuff like that, that's irrelevant to the investigation that she is conducting around who killed Charlie Kirk. That's irrelevant. What is relevant is, was this man at Fort Huachuca? Well, we've seen Gary Melton. He confirmed that in his interview with the eldest son, with Mitch Snow, and then apparently also, so that we have a confirmation of his presence there. And then also there is a confirmation of Harple. There's some story, and I haven't gotten all the details on this, but that apparently Harple, oh, no. Sorry. I was confusing because I had heard something and I was like, no, 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 but I think I'm talking about this one. Sorry about that. See, sometimes you can go like, well, wait a second. Let me check my notes. Let me check my notes. Maybe I'm confusing things. It happens. It happens. So let's go on.
Least important thing. And I've put out a video saying how I've been saying that since the beginning of this. All of the idiots out there that keep pushing that talking point is like, yep, he was there. Yep, that proves everything. That's all that matters is he was there. That's like me coming back to you with a story and saying, you know what, I was out in the woods, I saw Elvis. Oh, and by the way, here's a picture of me out in the woods. That proves my entire story. It is the dumbest, most imbecilic thing that I've
No,
ever heard.
the dumbest, most imbecilic thing that I've ever heard is his example and analogy there. What the fuck, buddy? These guys all say, dude, what the fuck, dude?
The other talking point that I keep hearing people say that's really stupid is, you know, they use sketchy people's testimony all the time in court and everywhere else. Well, first of all,
they use sketchy people's testimony in court. Yeah, they do all the time.
no, they don't. All right. Your credibility actually does matter. And they might put somebody up there that has questionable credibility. But every time that we have eyewitness testimony is to.
Okay. Now, when I heard this one, I mean, I was fit to be tied. I was fit to be tied. I was like, no, don't you tell me, excuse me, Virginia Gouffre, this is a credible witness. Now we're gonna, okay, let me try and do this. I think this will be okay. Yeah, let's go into blogs. So, I know, oh Lord, am I so politically incorrect on my defense of Prince Andrew in that case? And I even defend, where's Ghislaine Maxwell here? Because I don't think, given, I mean, Ghislaine Maxwell, 20 years in prison. Um, I mean, what was her name? The Mayflower Madam. That was Sydney Biddle Barrel. And she was, as I say, the Mayflower Madam, and she ran an escort service in New York in the 70s and 80s. You know, it was the high end. I mean, this is the Biddle family. The Biddle family, she got it Mayflower because they came over the Mayflower. And one of the Biddles was in my class at Foxhoff. So this is the Biddle family. So this was the escort service, and it got busted. Let's see, she got fined $5,000. She got a book deal. Candice Bergen played her in the movie, the 80s movie. I mean, she was put on a pedestal. This is when Cornelia Guest is becoming Deb of the Decade, you know, and starting all of this elitism, which Virginia Gouffre and all the sugar babies are aspiring to be. So, you know, this whole thing of every woman should be believed and credible witnesses. Wait a second. My ex-husband and his brother together are no different. I mean, it's a Spanish Epstein. So, I, who was a stay-at-home mom, a trailing spouse, and I can promise you, I won't pull it up this time, but I'll show you evidence. I'll show you the documents and the evidence. You know, I mean, not only was I dedicated to my family, but also in all of the communities that I lived in, particularly when I was in Bogota. Because when I was in Brussels, both of my kids, my sons were born there. So they were tiny babies. I mean, I didn't have any time to do anything else but change diapers and take care of babies. And I was very, very happy doing that. No complaints. Paris, a little bit more autonomy because they're toddlers, but still, My day revolved around it, very happily so, doing nothing but taking care of my children and my home and my husband. Um, and very happy. And we did some entertaining, but not. And then we go to Bogota, and he becomes this is the executive directors of one of the biggest banks there. So then my kids are start in school. I'm more involved in the community. I have time. So then I become very, 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 very involved in the community. Anyway, I'm going off in a tangent. So anyway, we'll get back to I forget where I went. So we'll get back to Gary.
Corroborate actual evidence. Like, do you not understand that, people? And on top of that, what they're under the threat of perjury. All right, so they have incentive to tell the truth, and they're decentivized from lying.
Oh my God, the threat of perjury. When I got involved in the court system in Spain, this is 2007, one of the first lawyers I met with, and I'll tell you, that woman was such a bitch. Um, she told me, she insinuated that I was stupid because everybody falsifies documents, everybody lies in court. I was not even stupid. I just sat there and I'm like going, I cannot believe that is going to be your defense when I get you into court. Now, I thought this was going to be, I get back to the States, but my mother had hung me out to dry, my family, but, I was like, I'll get back to Washington and get to these, authorities and the nonprofits and stuff and be like, what the fuck are you people doing? No, 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 no. So this whole thing, perjury, perjury, everybody lies in court. Everybody.
Lying. All right, we have no evidence to even corroborate here. This is completely on the credibility of Mitch. It's so dumb to me. The other big thing that's different with this than anything else that people are talking about is the fact there's a $150,000 incentive to lie. And on top of that, there's a lot more money on the line for Candace to continue to push this lie because it's going to continue to get her views. And if this nonsense, which is the dumbest out of all the stories.
Okay, $150,000 for Mitch Snow to lie. No, Candace, and Candace says this on her Twitter, X, on her X charla, that she just came up with. It was a last minute thing when she was on air, whatever you want to call it. And he hadn't done that because of the money. And everybody's turning this around, he just did it for the money. And Candace is doing it for the money. Her podcast is for the money. All of you podcasters, I've been listening to this podcast and stuff, so you better shut your mouth about that one, buddy, and all of the others. You all have got to stop accusing everybody else of only being in it for the money, because that's what you're doing yourselves. And if you would spend as much time accusing others of doing that and infighting and actually doing some hard investigative reporting, then we wouldn't be here.
The dumbest that she has pushed forward. If this can stand and she can continue to push this, throw in the towel, folks. We're done as a country. It really does come down to that. All right. So real quick, I'm going to play a video for you. And you know what? I'm not going to give an introduction to it. We're going to play this video. What we're going to be looking at is basically, I guess I am going to give an introduction to it, is Mitch on a different podcast talking about certain things. Then we're going to show you some video evidence, and then we're going to show you some court documents. And also, for all the people that keep sending me emails saying that he was never convicted of anything, you were also wrong. You were also wrong. So anyways, let's play.
Very good.
Yep.
I broke my back. Had several falls. Broke my back, my neck, shoulder, skull, face, jaw, hip, knee, both ankles. And they decided, kick me out. It was medical. It was honorable. Involuntary, but it was a good career. Unfortunately, just recovering from injuries after stuff like that, it takes a toll not just on you, but those around you. And sometimes those around you, they don't stick around. Eventually, injuries got the best of me, and being that I was retired from the military, medically disabled, I could raise any kids we had. I started getting sicker, and
I just want to interject 1 second. See how he says, well, when things go bad, some people don't stick around. His wife started having affairs. We'll see it. There is evidence that, because he even called the cops one time because he was worried about his wife. She didn't show up that night, so they found the car. The cops called and said, "Look, is she having an affair?" And they caught her at it. So he's not bashing her. He didn't come in here and he started saying, he just said, well, things don't always work out. So you never hear him talking bad about his ex-wife. Can't say the same about her.
recovering from surgeries and stuff like that, she would take advantage of that. And, she was just one of these personalities that was kind one day and then, just horrible the next. And so after
see the Hollywood see the Hollywood movie All About Eve. Oh, that movie is dedicated to that.
I was planning on leaving, separate myself from the things I was noticing she was doing, especially with our son and hurting him. Eventually, I was about ready to find out that she was stealing the money out of my account for my veteran compensations, and that I was trying to save up so that I could afford leaving her, getting an attorney, and distracting me, taking my keys, preventing us from leaving, doing dirty tricks, just keeping us locked up at home for the most part.
Yeah. Stealing keys. Oh, hiding keys, stealing keys, moving around. Oh, that was one of the favorite of my ex-husband and my poor sons. I mean, I'd confront him and he, would start a fight. He'd get all upset. It's classic gaslighting.
Eventually, it ended up in a situation where the bank was calling me in about strange transactions, and I was scheduled to go meet him. And on that morning, she, was loading up the vehicle to go for this meeting. She came out and acting real kind. She took my keys, she took my phone, she went back inside and forced me to go back in and find out what was going on. And lures me to the garage that she pre-set up to be like a little prison. She broke the garage doors. Hoarded stuff was stacked against the windows and the other doors. And she lured me in there and attacked me. Hit me with a hammer and, break my thumbs, my feet, back of my skull. And I got the hammer.
What year was this?
That was 25 June 2016.
So this is how long this has been going on. And just so everyone know, Mitch is still trying to get a divorce. This has been going on almost 10 years.
See, I mean, what divorce takes 10 years? Something's going on here. Something's going on.
Eventually, I was hearing my son cry. I was worried about him, having her maul him with the dogs again. And she had done that multiple times. He had been hurt really bad. So when I heard him crying, I used the hammer to go ahead and break the door handle to get back in, to get to my keys, get my son, get my phone. I used the hammer to go ahead and break the door handle to get back in, to get to my keys, get my son, get my phone. And yeah, I called for help. I called for dispatch. And, she tried to attack me and
He's the one who called the cops.
pulled on my arm while I was holding the phone, dislocated my arm. That's actually one of the surgeries. I'm still recovering from getting surgeries from it. But yeah, I called for help. I called into them. And as I walked outside trying to just get away from her or drag her towards me so she was not, my son isn't getting hurt. I saw there was already cops there. There were.
All right, listen, he goes on to say that basically that Lanee set him up and the cops were already waiting for him. They set this whole conspiracy up. Well, folks, you're about to see what really happened that day because we actually have video from that exact day.
Okay, so before that, she set him up. This happened to me. I mean, I won't get into that story. I'll go through a story of my own, but that'll show how these are very common tactics. But anyway, so she had set him up and had all this planned out. That's typical. Now, I agree. He didn't react well. He takes the hammer and he bangs it against the car. But I also know from experience, and I didn't fall into the trap. My ex was constantly trying to get me to explode. This is such an overused tactic by both sides. Everybody's using it. As I said in the last video, all you have to do is Google, give me a book on how to win my divorce and my custody battle in any country of the world, and you'll find a book on it. Everybody's writing it. It's disgusting what's going on. So as I say, typical tactic. He didn't react well. He got dragged into it, but that does not make him this vicious perpetrator that everybody's trying to make him out to be.
They were sitting on the corner at DeMoss Road and Van Giesen.
Catch that.
And this is only a partial video. We don't have the whole story here.
Mustang. Stop it!
Touched it.
Do not hit my Mustang.
You say to me all you want. You're ruining our relationship because you gave your keys to your cousin.
I didn't give my keys to anybody.
You're the one who asked him to mess with your car. I haven't touched this car in forever. It's been in my way. I'd like it out of the way. I have no idea where the keys are. Would love to know. But that's not what we were doing today. But you have to do this. You have to
I just
don't defend
ask you a
yourself
question.
now.
I can defend myself all I want because you're being insane.
You want to video record shit?
She can defend herself? How is harassing him defending herself? See, the Me Too movement has made the women, they were nuts beforehand, but this is out of control.
You want to threaten to hit my car with a hammer? God damn it! Marriage over, Mitch. Goodbye.
She asked for it. I'm sorry. She asked for it.
Don't.
Then you stop it.
You know what? Do it all you want. Go ahead.
I don't want to. I want you to fucking start treating me better than you treat this car.
Jesus Christ.
This is how you treat us.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Everybody pan around.
Look at how he's egging him on and
then
inciting
screams at
him
us
to
on
violence.
Saturday mornings about things that are completely unimportant to her. Blames me for losing things I haven't touched.
Tried to ask you if you knew where they were.
I did, and I told you I don't know.
No, you never said that. You had to give me a little asshole answer.
I didn't give you an asshole answer. I gave you a smartass answer. It's Saturday morning, and it's okay to be a smartass. You do it all the time, Lanee. What is so bad about being a smartass?
He confronts her and she leaves.
All right. So she goes back into the house here and she hears banging again. So she goes back out and turns her phone on.
See how she's like crying and
That was 25 June 2016.
Oh, I must have cut a part out. Hold on. Let me make sure I didn't skip this. Basically, she goes back out and she shows that the door has just been beat all to hell. That's when he actually beat the doorknob.
oh, excuse me? Screw that shit, Gary. No, that's nothing. You should have seen my house. I have the photos. I think I still have the photos. I think I was able to save those. I mean, you have to understand, I escaped from Spain with nothing but one suitcase. Barely made it out alive. Amnesty International told me I had 1% chance of survival. When I went to the American Embassy, they said, go fuck off. This is when the whole O.J. Simpson stuff is coming out. My mom was like, oh, I and John McCain don't want to be involved in any unpleasantness. So, yeah, you know, you should have seen how I broke that. I mean, I'd been the night before. They called me paranoid because I had all sorts of locks and latches, and you know, I'd been up like 3 o'clock in the morning, and all of the doors. And this was onto the terrace, and I was like, shit, he comes through there. So I mean, I made jewelry at the time, and I had a jewelry press. When you melt gold and silver, then you have to press it out into different sheets or different forms. So I had, and that thing weighs a shitload. So I had that. I, you know, how do you say it? Screwed it down into the floor. In front of that, put all of this stuff in front of the door so that if he became violent again, that it was, you know, he wouldn't be able to get through there, because that was something I couldn't, you know, was one of the doors that I couldn't lock. And so one of the altercations, he tried to go through one door, he couldn't get through it to our bedroom, and so he's like going to go through the terrace. Luckily, but I mean, you should see how he broke the thing. I called the cops. The cops came and they said, lady, any judge is going to say it's his house. He can break whatever the shit he wants. I said, what? Even his wife? I was like, well, yeah. I mean, when I talked to the it was the court-appointed lawyers, 2 women, court-appointed lawyers, the only people who showed any kind of competence or any kind of humanity and just human dignity during the entire time, including all of the domestic violence people, Amnesty International, the consul, everybody. And I said to one woman who came, as I say, she was a court-appointed lawyer. She showed up for the hearing. Like a couple minutes before, I was like, I'm gonna go in there with nobody. And you know, I said, no, my mistake was to say he's gonna kill me next time. And she said, yeah, you don't ever want to file domestic violence complaint unless they're not going to believe you, unless you come in there or they come into, you know, ICU and your intensive care unit and he's almost killed you. So, you know, this is really pissing me off how Gary is promoting all of the propaganda of the Me Too bitches.
Wife neglects us, ignores us, and then what is so bad about being a smartass?
No, I cut a piece of this off. Anyways, she goes back out. I'll correct the video. I'll fix it. I'll put it back up there, folks. But she goes back out the second time. That's her coming back in the second time, and he had beat the doorknob off. But we'll play this out.
You beat the doorknob. Big fucking deal.
That was 25 June 2016.
Gross misdemeanor.
So I want everybody to, I want that to sink in just for a moment. He said that she went and basically lured him back into the house, brought him out into the, like, I'm just so mad about this right now.
Yeah, this was probably after this altercation. And I mean, we don't have a timeline there. We don't know exactly what's going on there. And also how they have how she has the dates. I'm not sure if that's real. That might just be how she has that might be another day. I don't know.
Brought him into the garage that she had set up as a prison, essentially, right? And then she beat him with a hammer. And then, you know, she was going to keep him locked in the garage, I guess, but then she left the hammer out of there. And then to get back in so that she wouldn't maul their child with the dogs, he broke in the house and beat the doorknob off with the hammer that she conveniently left out of there. And from what we just saw...
Well, once again, just because he beat the doorknob from a hammer, that doesn't mean that nothing he says should be believed. There may be a very good reason that he did what he did.
He contrived the story into that. He took the fact that he was out there damaging her car, being threatening, being a complete psycho, and then as she goes back in, he just...
I'm sorry, being the psycho? I'm sorry, Gary. I don't know what world you live in of how women react, how your wife behaves, but the psycho here was her, not him.
Takes it out on the doorknob, and I can't believe I cut off that piece, but I'll don't worry, we'll play it here in a minute. But the fact is he made up that entire story whole cloth, and we have documentation where he was arrested for this. She went in and called the cops. They came. Was it some big conspiracy that she had already had set up and she had court?
Oh, this is typical. They came, he called the cops, they came, and he gets arrested. Same thing will happen with women a lot of times. I mean, the cops, they're just as complicit. They're just as crazy as everybody else.
Coordinated with, you know, the local law enforcement to have him detained and have him taken to jail, like he claims in that crazy podcast where he's just lying through his teeth nonstop. He says he's retired. He's not retired. He says he fell and broke every bone in his.
He says he's retired. He's not retired. Yeah, I don't know, like terminology, maybe where we got, okay, let's get the definition of retired or discharged or whatever. That's not the point. Yeah. We have established that he had this accident, 80-foot fall, and he had 90 to 100% disability. I think it was 90-something% disabled, but he was getting 100% disability. This is all in the documents of the VA.
His body. If that was true, he would be retired because he said he did it on a training accident. The guy is a psycho. The guy is a liar. And we've proved.
He's a psycho. He's a liar. Once again, Mitch Snow hasn't lied about anything. Gary's not producing any proof that Mitch has lied about one single thing. He just, and it really is disgusting coming from a vet to another vet. And it shows you the kind of hey bro, solidarity that's going on in that shit show.
Proven it. And credibility matters in this for all the things that I laid out earlier. It doesn't matter if he was there. Like that is the most irrelevant part. Guess what? He was in the garage.
Are we going to beat this dead horse? Of course it matters if he was there. Doesn't matter anything else.
We know he was. We have videotape of him. But what didn't happen was Lanee didn't beat him with a hammer. Lanee didn't knock him over the head with a hammer. Lanee didn't set the garage up as a. How
does he know? He hasn't shown any proof to the contrary.
Detainment facility. And then he didn't beat the door knob off because she locked him out of there and just happened to leave the hammer out there. So that's where we're at with all this. And
mixing apples and oranges.
I'm going to bring Lanee on here. So Lanee, first of all, welcome to the show. I'm sorry that you have to relive some of these things. Man, it makes me mad.
I'd like to note, she doesn't come on here. You're not going to see her face or video or anything like that.
So anyways.
Show some balls, lady. If you're going to come out, come out.
Lanee, if you will, just take a little bit of time and I don't know. Let's just start at the beginning. Let's start out how you met Harry. I have some questions about his name changes and things like that, but you have the floor and take it where you want to go.
Okay. Thank you for having me on. I met him in the summer of 2009 at a family member that was getting married. She was friends with him. She was having just a small backyard wedding. And so I went up a few days early to help her just do all the stuff to get ready. And she was saying that she had a friend coming that used to live in Bellingham. He had gone to California and he was coming back. So she had to leave at some point to go pick him up. I think he came in on the bus. So she went to pick him up. And he came in and he was this very charming, charismatic man. And I fell for him. We spent the weekend together just talking nonstop and really got to know each other really quickly. And I went back home to the other side of the state and he just kept calling me constantly, literally spending 40 hours a week on the phone with me the first several weeks. And at some point he joked about interrogating me because he was just constantly asking me questions nonstop, and it became a joke to him, but it wasn't a joke. He was actually interrogating me. He was learning everything he could that he would later, twist and turn and try to use whatever he could get to use against me. And also to find out who I am because, class.
Interrogating her. Oh, yeah, he was interrogating me. Well, usually when you marry somebody, you know everything about them. So interrogation, to find everything to use them against you. Yeah, lady, I know that story. But that's why I know a con artist when I see one.
Classic of the kind of person he is, learning everything about the target so that he can present himself as the perfect guy for me. He liked everything I liked. We had so much in common. This was great. He's great. And I didn't know at the time that people
Hollywood made a movie about that stupid shit. Everybody does that. And the message of the Hollywood movie was don't try and pretend to be something you're not, because that doesn't work out too well. I can't remember. It was one of the dumb blondes who played in that.
Like that existed, that someone could be so convincingly fake. But the man I fell in love with was not the truth of who he was. When I met him, he was Harry.
Maybe the one who is fake is her. That's where the evidence is going.
Larry Myers. And, he started with, I'm a former Green Beret. I'm medically retired. I had this horrible fall. My ex-wife is horrible.
Nothing is false.
Kept my kids from me. And, I haven't been able to see them in so long.
See, we have confirmation there that from her saying that the ex-wife, the second wife, where he had 2 kids, was keeping the kids from him. This is a pattern.
And, he's just this poor little wounded man who just needs a good woman to understand him. And
now, when you met him, did he have a job or anything like that?
No, he hasn't worked
he didn't have a job because he was under 100% disability. He became the stay-at-home dad. He even said in one of the videos, I mean, I thought this was so sweet. He said, says, yeah, I should be seduced by him. No, I just thought this was, he said, oh yeah, my son, his baby son, this is the fourth child, this child with her, because he becomes the stay-at-home dad and she's the breadwinning mom. This gets very important in my research and my work on homemakers' rights, because I'm like, okay, fine. If it's the woman who's the breadwinner and the man who is the homemaker, that's fine. You know, I've seen situations where that's better for the children. And I'm all for it. But then the homemaker's rights, I'm going to fight for the men on that in that case, because they are not slaves. They do a lot of work. And in fact, I'm sick and tired of all of these goddamn PR people, HR people. There are lots of jobs that are being done by, you know, the trad wife of the upper crust before, and now she just wants to earn money, and she's no longer doing it. And now it's professionals with PhDs and MBAs and their head up their asses who are doing it. So, you know, I got no problem with that. But this thing of the deadbeat dad, you saw that in the courts. He was a deadbeat dad because he stayed home with the kid. So he learned, he said, yeah, my son and I, we learned how to crawl and to walk together because he was disabled. And she's trying to make him out to be some deadbeat. And so is Gary. Gary should be ashamed of himself. This is a vet. This is his bro.
It had been several years before I even met him that he had lost work. He had gotten, I never understood it. He said he got 100% disability pay from the VA, but said he wasn't rated at 100%. It was like rated at 90%, but paid 100%. And they had also helped him when he got that. He didn't get out of the Army with that much, but he got that eventually. And when he got to that point, they had also helped him get Social Security disability. So he was pretty.
I mean, they're living pretty. She's got her income. He's got his income. I don't know how much that is per month. Somebody probably could tell me. But you know, they're living good life in terms of money.
Bringing in pretty good money from all that. But yeah, he hadn't worked in years.
Probably a little over, you know, depending on locality pay in Washington, probably at least a little over $3,000 a month, something like that.
He was between the two. Yeah, he had about $4,000 a month when I met him.
Yeah. Because he was disabled. So he's getting $4,000 a month. She's got her income. Yet, like, they still can't get along.
So
money doesn't solve all problems.
You guys decided to get married. Was there any, before you guys got married, was there any red flags that you saw? And look, one of the things that I want to hopefully get out of this, Lanee, is for women and men to see your story and, you know, hopefully understand these red flags and identify them for what they are. Because I see this too many times where women and men, you know, they fall into the cycle where they're attracted to the same type of person, and they get in this cycle of abuse where they go from one person to the next. And it's like they're tricked every single time. So
totally right.
You know, hopefully your story can be a warning to others. And
but in this situation, he hasn't done his homework. He's just got an agenda and party politicking, the military-industrial complex. That's his agenda. That's his bread and butter. And that's who his allegiance is to. Not the American people, not the U.S. Constitution, as we saw. This is a republic. This is not a democracy.
You know, to hope, number one, make sure that this doesn't happen with Harry ever again, or Mitchell, or whatever his name is. So women know
whatever his name is. I mean, how condescending.
What the truth is about this guy, and he's not going to, you know, pull the wool over their eyes again in the future. And then secondly, just make sure that people can spot these types of warning signs and not get into the same situation that you did, unfortunately.
I'm sure there were plenty of red flags, but I didn't see them for what they were at the time. But, later I learned things like I didn't know about love bombing. I mean, he moved so fast and he said all the right things, and he decided he wanted to move to the Tri-Cities to be with me, and, might as well just live with you, because why, pay rent on a separate house?
Well, yeah, if somebody is moving to another city to be with you, I think it would be kind of strange that they would, unless they had another family or something to hide, it would be kind of strange that they would have another apartment house or whatever and wouldn't move to live with you. That would be strange.
And I had never lived with anybody. I had never gotten this serious with somebody so fast.
She had never lived with anybody, never been married. Okay. I'm not sure how old she is. I mean, Mitch is a bit younger than I am, but if he was in the 80s, I'm not sure how old she is. I'm not sure.
And he just kept putting that idea in my head. And so finally, I think it was 2 months after I met him, he was living with me. And then
this woman's like a scientist. She's not some dumb bimbo. She's acting like a dumb bimbo. Like, oh, I was just a victim.
Proposed to me in December, and we eloped in February, and then had our big wedding in August. The red flags were definitely that moving so fast, saying all the right things, just making it out that he is my ideal person, and everything I like, he likes as well. It's amazing how much we
This is Me Too psych up bullshit.
Have in common. And hey, let's not ask too many questions, but let's move in together really quick. And oh yeah, now we need to go get married really quick. I mean, I don't know why I fell for it. It's embarrassing now looking at, but I will say the man that you saw on these videos, it's not the man that I met. He was one, younger and thinner and more attractive back.
Younger. He was younger, thinner, and more attractive. Sorry, lady, we all were. It's called age and it's called time. Can't get away from it.
And also he was more convincing back then. As time has gone on, his lies have gotten bigger and more absurd, more unbelievable.
I haven't caught Mitch in one single lie. Well,
and he's become worse at portraying those lies. Like when I met him, he had his lies of his past, and they were set in cement. That was his whole persona. So he was really good at telling those stories and making you believe them. But then suddenly, not too long after we got married, I mean, he had told me he didn't know where his ex-wife was. She had stopped letting him see the kids. He hadn't seen them for years. He didn't know how to find them. And suddenly he finds this little piece of information. And then later I find out her mom had lived in the same place all these years. He knew that she had gotten married. He knew her new married name. He had sent her a message on Facebook. I didn't know any of that until later. Like the whole story was just a lie. He was just waiting for some sucker to come along and help.
So all of that story needs clarification and a timeline, because she's mixing up many years and many things all together. As I say, I've been doing this for 20 years. I've listened to so many stories. I know how to take notes, and nobody gave me, I didn't go to any like stupid, here, take this test and we're going to give you a certificate. No. I've done it the old-fashioned way.
Help finance what he wanted to do to go after her to see those kids. And that's when I really started seeing everything for what it was. Like we were trying to have a baby, and then suddenly he found his kids, and things got so serious so quickly, going through that court case. And I was like, okay, that's it. I can't have a baby right now. And of course, as soon as I stopped trying, that's when
Okay. Sorry. My blood pressure is going down, so I gotta eat some salty food. So, oh gosh, now I forgot. I say when my blood pressure goes down, the blood doesn't get to my head and I forget stuff. Yeah, what were we again?
Get pregnant. So my whole pregnancy and my son's first year was dealing with this.
When you say his kids, you're talking about
oh yeah, the court case. So she's pregnant and they're trying to figure out like he's in court with his second wife to get visitation rights on those two children, and she can't deal with it. So he's obviously, this is obviously a man who has wanted a family, not always gone about, maybe not the best ways to do it. But still, so note, this is what the court cases are about at that time.
Well, you know what? I won't even say their names just in case. But his daughter and his son.
Correct. Yeah. So he started trying to get visitation. And
not Cameron on the show. Got it.
Yeah, the middle too. Yeah. And that's when he started saying things about that wife. I was like, this isn't adding up. And the more he would say, the more I would see him for who he was. And then, I mean, like I said before, I think Valhalla talked about it. The first time he hit me, my son was 2 weeks old. And so going through all of that, I started seeing through it. And then he started getting violent.
As I keep on saying, violence, I've never asked my sons. You do not hit. You do not hit. My favorite was when my two kids, they're very, very young, and I'm explaining it to Morgan, no, you do not hit, because he was delighted to have the baby for us to take care of until the baby started becoming mobile and touching his things. Then he wasn't quite so happy to have somebody invading his territory. This is just, standard fare. So I would say, okay, yes, okay. Now, the baby is younger than you. I would go through the whole explanations. You cannot hit. You cannot hit anybody. Then I had to explain that, okay, biting is not allowed either. So yeah, I do not condone any kind of physical violence, anybody else, but oh, do I sometimes want to slap that bitch or that son of a bitch. Same thing. So, this whole thing is I'm an innocent victim. I am an innocent victim. The second somebody starts playing that card with me, I'm like, let's see how innocent you really are.
And then I was just scared. So before that, it was all emotional and mental manipulation. And, there were plenty of red flags. So, know what love bombing is, know what these things are, know what to look out for. When somebody moves that fast, it's not a good sign. It's not because they're super in love.
The evidence shows she's the one who's manipulative in this relationship. And one of the signs is you don't see her face here.
With you,
balls.
Look deeper.
Let me ask you this. He ended up changing his name to Mitchell Snow. I'm assuming that when you met him, he was going by Harry Myers, correct?
Yes.
And what was his reasoning behind changing his name to Mitchell Snow?
He told me he'd been wanting to change his name for a long time. By the way, I'd never heard the cartel story. That was not the reason he gave. The reason he gave was that his dad was not a good man and he didn't want to carry his name. He had been wanting to change his last name to Mitchell because that had been the last name of somebody that had been in his life at one point. But then all of a sudden he was like, but hey, your name's really important to you and you want to carry on your name. And
I think that's quite nice. He's like, he couldn't stand his father. He wanted nothing to do with his father. Wants to change his name. I don't know who this Mitchell person is. But then he's going to marry, and, well, why don't I take on my wife's name? What is wrong with that? Women have been taking on men's name forever. What is wrong with that? Doesn't make that man some evil villain.
You're a published author, so how about I take your name and Mitchell will be my first?
I tried to find her published author, and I'm not sure what she's published.
Name, and then I'll put Harrison as my middle name so that Harry still makes sense. And I was like, that's weird. Like he was saying this before we got married, and I was just like, that's kind of weird. You've been telling me since I met you, you want to be Mitchell as your last name, and now suddenly you want to take my name, and like, what the heck? And he just talked me into it, and I was like, okay. So I don't think
it's weird. I think it's sweet.
It was about a week before we got married. We went to the courthouse and got his name changed. And I didn't expect him to change his whole complete name. And I do think part of it was to hide from his past.
What's Gary laughing at? What's so funny?
I mean, it's almost like, I hate to laugh about it, but I mean, it's almost ridiculous.
No,
like,
you don't.
I'm just trying to imagine the shoe was on the other foot, where if I'm getting ready to marry my wife and she's like, you know what, my name is, Summer, but I want to change it to Rachel, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's every time that
No, it would be like him marrying his wife, and his wife saying, well, I'm not going to take on your name because I have a career or whatever, I have an identity. I'm not going to take on your name. That's what it's like. Not what he's turning this into.
get into the weeds with this guy, it just blows my mind that the level of strange shit that comes out. I don't know. It's hard to wrap your mind around all this stuff. And that crazy thing is, person after person, this is it's just a cycle of every woman that's had a relationship with him. And by the way, I've had two individuals that know him, that were friends with him. One of them was in the Army, called me yesterday. I spent 2 hours on the phone. It was the same thing. He was like, Gary, we were good friends, and then things just got weird. And then, he was telling me all kinds of stories. Anyways, so at that point,
So he had a friend of his that was in the military that called Gary. I'd like to know who that person is. I'd like to know what transpired in that conversation. I mean, there's some collusion going on here. These guys have really set themselves up for a lawsuit. So I'd like to know what are all of these. I'm going to call everybody, as Candace said, somebody from his PE class in high school. I thought it was serious because that's what they do. PE class in high school years ago, to come and defame this guy, when all I'm asking the guy was, or trying to confirm, was this man at Fort Huachuca when he said he was? Because this is what he's saying. Now, this is what he's saying. Of course, is it true? Is it not true? I mean, that, it's hearsay because there's no physical proof. There has been some physical proof. Candace posted a photo. I think it was Harpool and an airplane or something. So, but this is how an investigation is conducted. And, as any detective will tell you, or a police department, the first person that, you start asking the family members, everybody becomes a suspect, and then you eliminate. It is unfortunate if people feel that, well, why am I being put under suspicion? Well, it's not necessarily you're just being questioned. And yeah, you might be the person who did it, just because that, a lot of times, statistically speaking, most of the time when somebody's killed, it's by somebody that they know.
You had never heard anything about the cartels, him being in witness protection. Like, what was his backstory when he was telling you about his past?
He'd been married. I didn't even know about his first wife until after we were married. The one time I saw a picture of her, he's like, oh, that's my ex with her kid. It wasn't until after I got married that I found out, no, that was your first ex-wife with your kid. But he just told me about the second ex-wife, who, I thought was the only ex-wife, and those kids, and how she had stopped letting him see them. And, he just wanted to see his kids and how important they were to him. Told me about how he had been doing this.
This is something that's repeated constantly, how much Mitch Snow loved his kids and wanted to be with his kids. And everybody's vilifying him for it. Deadbeat dad. All sorts of shit. Just because he loves his kids and he wants to be with his kids. I've gotten the same shit.
His fall was, he was making a training course, I guess, path, whatever you want to call it, for climbing for training purposes in the Army, and that he had fallen 80 to 100 feet, and he was alone, of course, because why wouldn't you do dangerous activities alone for the Army? And he had to drag him. So, he broke, like he said, he broke every bone in his body and had to drag himself like through the forest and across the river. And I was just like, that seems odd. But
that seems odd. She finds it funny and odd. I'm like, oh my God, you poor guy. Where's the I mean, I'm sorry. You people are sick. Really sick. Really sick.
was a story, and he told the same story every single time. And then, strangely enough,
well, if he is repeating the same story with the same details time after time after time after time after time, usually it's because that's what happened. This is one of the indications that somebody's lying, is the details will change. And that's another thing, if you'll see after time, and you just have to listen. I mean, I'm listening. I'm noting here to find out if you're lying. No, just listen to a person. If the details don't change, the story doesn't change, time after time after time, usually that's an indication that that's the truth.
if they didn't,
The truth as they know it. We are all, if you will, we all filter certain, we all never know everything that's going on. We can think, well, I think that's what this person is thinking. I think that's what this person, but we never know for sure everything that's going on. So we're always readjusting our reality towards life of the information that is given to us and provided to us. So, the only person here is all knowing, is all. Yeah. And how does he keep
he's broken that badly, but that's not why he got out of the Army. He broke his back again when he was pushed out of a plane without a parachute, because that.
What is this about him being pushed out of a plane without a parachute? I'm like, excuse me, that happened in a Hollywood movie. You usually die with that. And he just broke his back? What's that story all about? I want to know more about that one.
That was a whole other story he has, where another NDA he had to sign, by the way. That time he had to go to the White House with when Clinton was in office, and they had him sign an NDA for that whole story.
Okay. Clinton was in White House, and he had to go to Washington to sign NDA for that story. I want to know more. What is this about? She's saying, oh, this is ridiculous. That's not ridiculous. Not at all. This is the Clinton administration. What that's all about.
In the White House.
Yeah, because I'm sure that's what you do when you're a low-level military guy. They bring you to the White House personally to sign the NDA.
Well, I don't think that. See, that's another thing. It was at the White House. I don't think it would be at the White House that you would sign an NDA. Again, this is speculation. I have no idea. When you're military, I mean, I know I worked for a senator when I was in college for 5 years. So, civilians, I'm probably the most knowledgeable person in how that whole world works and how it's supposed to work and how it is. And they're two worlds apart. So yeah, when it gets into the military and all intelligence, I really don't know. But I would think he would go, would that be DOD? I don't know, Pentagon, DOD, where would you go? Because if you're working for the military and you're signing an NDA, why would you go to the White House? I'm not sure about that one.
To go to the White House at least 3 or 4 times a week back when I was young.
I'm sure.
What an asshole.
But yeah, he had a whole story about that. Just insane. I was like, that can't be real. But nope, that's what happened. I broke my back the second time. And then at some point after that, they finally decided, okay, you're too broken. You need to get out of the Army. And he claims he was medically retired. And it's always, he was a special forces medic. He's very insistent on being called a medic. And then I find out he wasn't at all. Like, I don't know why.
Again, I mean, this is totally irrelevant to the investigation, or maybe it's not actually. Maybe it's not. I mean, it's it's kind of a situation with my situation with the Dickinson family tree, John Dickinson, and our connection goes back to the 1059. So yeah, it's the connection, maybe convoluted, let's just put it that way, but maybe not.
Why you lie about that. And he also made it sound like he had been special forces, like he was the youngest person ever to get into special forces, and most of his time in the military he had been special forces. And now I find out it was a year. Just everything, even this backstory, I don't think anything about it except maybe his name was ever real.
Unreal. So, like you said, number one, right after you had your son, things started becoming abusive, and then kind of take it from there, because this is where things get really dark. And it's bad. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, he got abusive. Like I said, hit me for the first time. He was just getting, said it had been a lot of mental and emotional. Like in that video, he complains about how I would take his keys and hide and lock him in the house. Well, no, he would do that to me. I was going to work. I would be going to work, and I can't find my keys. I remember one day I spent 30 minutes. I searched the house up and down, top to bottom, like 10 times. And then all of a sudden, there my keys are on the kitchen island. I know.
Didn't I say earlier, this whole hiding of keys and then making them appear elsewhere? Oh gosh, do I know that trick? Gaslighting. Typical. She's blaming him. I mean, this is why it's so important to actually investigate evidence and facts instead of just, oh, okay, well, I'm going to take your side, or I'm going to take your side, and then I'm going to run with it. No. And I mean, I have been villainized, marginalized, defamed, I mean, you name it, by all of the women's rights groups, which includes the domestic violence, HR, I mean, women's rights, the feminist. It's a feminist. Stop thinking of this as women's rights groups, because they're just feminists. They're power-hungry bitches who want to rule the world. So that's not women's rights. And I mean, I have been so villainized by everybody because I will not drink or pass out Kool-Aid that all women are victims of abuse and all men are horrible, violent, animals who rape and are pedophiles, rapists, murderers, and these women are just angels of mercy. That's the agenda. That's the dialogue they want to promote, and the agenda is rule the world.
I had checked that spot 10 times before. My keys weren't there. Suddenly they were. He was just always trying to mess with me, and he'd tell me I was crazy. And no, that was straight up gaslighting me. And he just got worse and worse. When my son was 2, I came home and he was in the garage with his friend, and my son was in the house alone, which we had agreed would not ever happen. And I just went to the garage and I was like, I brought you everything you asked for. So he would regularly call me at work and be like, bring me Nicorette gum, bring me Red Bull, Coke, pizza. That day, I think it was at least 3 of those things. So I went and I was like,
Wait a second. His son was 2. He's in the garage. Maybe his son was having his afternoon nap. Maybe his son was in a playpen. I don't know. And she said, he agreed that that would never happen again. I mean, this also sounds like an abusive wife. I mean, what? He's in the garage and the son, the 2-year-old son, I mean, a 2-year-old is semi-mobile, as I say, if they're asleep, but also it depends on how the house is. Maybe he's in the garage and the son is eating in the kitchen or something. Well, you wouldn't have that because no, you wouldn't. But it just, this is not proof of him being neglectful or abusive.
I brought you your stuff. I'm taking Nate and I'm going upstairs. I am so mad at you, but I'm not going to talk about it in front of this other person. He follows me in, starts screaming at me, grabbed my finger and like pulled my fingers back so hard. It hurt so bad. And then he's screaming at me to step away from him. And I'm like, you're holding my hand. You're trying to break my finger. He
grabbed my finger and you know what the cops told me? Lady, it's his property, meaning me. He can do whatever he wants with it. So, the feminists who are supporting this narrative and advancing their agenda are the exact same who are silencing me and have been for 20 years.
He's like, step away from me or I'm going to break it off. I'm like, I can't step away from you when you've got my finger twisted back in your hand. And then he left and took my son, and I didn't know where my son was for a day. I called the police and they're like, he's his dad. He can take him if he wants. And he called me later and he's like, yeah, I called the police too, and they're going to come arrest you. And me and the cop are going fishing later. And it was like, you do what I say, you get in line, or.
See, I called the police too, and they're going to come and arrest you. This all gets into he said, she said. This is why it is so important to examine evidence. All of the podcasters doing exactly the same thing with Candace and her investigation there. All she's trying to do is let's present the evidence. Let's present the evidence. That's all I've been trying to do in my case or any of the other cases that I've tried to help.
This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to lie to the police and get you arrested, and I can kidnap our son whenever I want. And he kept doing stuff like that. And then the next year, it seemed to be every summer.
I'd like her to prove that, because I think it's more her. If we look into all of the court documents and start going through everything, it's more likely her that's been guilty of that.
3 summers there. The next year, he started this whole thing. It lasted all night and into the next morning. Started with insisting I had to go out to eat with him, and got me in the car. Didn't give me a chance. I didn't have my phone or my keys, my wallet, anything. Went and got McDonald's.
Insisting that I have to go out and eat with him. One of the biggest things that pissed me off with all of the psychologists and everybody's, recipe to solve all marital problems is date night. When our marriage counselor came out with that one, I was like, oh, fuck this shit. My goose is cooked. This is so much farther than date night.
And they started driving and told me he was going to drive to Oregon and he was going to bury me alive in the desert. And then he was going to take Nate and he was going to keep driving. And he stopped.
Mitch is giving a platform to somebody who is accusing, Gary is giving a platform to someone who is accusing Mitch of threatening to murder her. Now, he doesn't give Mitch the chance to respond. He's walking on thin ice legally.
Stopped as soon as we got over the Oregon border and pulled into there's like a rest stop, truck stop area there. And he yelled at me to get out. I was like, I am not getting out. Like at that point, there's no way in hell I'm leaving my son with you. You can kill me if you want to, but I'm not getting out of this car. And finally, he turned around and drove back and went to the police station in Richland and said, I'm going to go into the police and have you arrested. And that time I was able to get out and take Nate and tried to walk away. And he followed me and grabbed me and made me go back home with him. And then he's like, I'm leaving with Nate. And that time I couldn't get him. And he just kicked me out of the car. And I'm there in the dark. And I was like, I don't have my keys. What am I supposed to do? So he threw the house key out at me. So I'm like in the dark on the ground, searching through the gravel driveway, trying to find our house key. And I got in and my phone was completely dead. I tried to charge it and I had barely gotten it to just turn on. And he comes back and he yells at me, what are you doing? Did you call the police? I'm like, I'm about to. And he's like, no, you're going to go to bed. Take your son and go to bed. So I was forced to go to our bedroom. I wasn't allowed.
Yeah, so he's trying to de-escalate it. Just take your son and go to bed. Always good. So obviously, I mean, you couldn't really follow what was going on, but obviously this is a high tension situation. You know, to take sides in this kind of situation is just promoting violence. He had a good reaction to the situation. Just take your son, go to bed. Let's de-escalate this. As I say, when you actually listen to what the people are telling when they're recounting their stories, instead of just looking for points to substantiate what you want to promote as an agenda, things are different.
Allowed to take Nate upstairs to put him to bed. I had to go sleep with him in our bedroom. I had my phone that was charged to 1%.
Why did she have to go and sleep? He said, take your son and go to bed. No, she had to go and sleep with him. Why? He was the one who said, take your son and go to bed. So she's going to go and antagonize him more? I mean, if they've had a conflictual situation, last thing I'm going to do is go in the bedroom with him. I'm going to take my son and we're going to go and calm down. And the last thing I'm going to do is go in the bedroom with my husband and antagonize an already volatile situation.
So I couldn't call for help. I didn't have the charger in my room. I left it in the kitchen. And I woke up the next morning and he started screaming at me all over again. Threw me down on the couch.
Well, woke up the next morning. Did you say anything to make him scream at you?
At one point, and was like just grabbing handfuls of my hair and using it to shake my head back and forth, and again going off on how he was going to bury me alive in the desert. And that time he also added he was going to kick Nate into the river and see if he could swim. Those were his words. And at the time we lived literally right across the street from the river. And
okay, those words may have been spoken. I don't know. What does Mitch have to say about the situation? That's not acceptable. But I've seen a lot of people say a lot of things. Journalists on camera make threats like that. So is a threat because you can say, I want to kill you. That is a threat against somebody's life. Now, is it a serious threat or is it just somebody speaking out in anger?
Eventually, he let me up after probably an hour of him just screaming in my face, and I somehow managed to grab Nate, had my keys in my pocket. I had slept with him all night, and got to my car. I think I probably literally just tossed Nate into his car seat. I didn't buckle him. I got into the driver's seat, and then Mitch was there grabbing my door.
She tossed her son into the seat without buckling him. She's obviously real pissed off. And it's not just Nate, excuse me, it's not just Mitch who is maybe out of control.
And like going like, where are you going? I was like, I'm leaving because you're scaring me. And he wouldn't let go of my door. I finally just had to back up and turn around, and finally he let go. And I went to my friend's house, and I stayed there for 2 weeks, and he kept calling and begging and pleading once I bought a new phone. Because he had also, I tried to take my phone out of my pocket to see if I could make a call, and he took it and threw it so hard that the case came off, the back of the phone came off, it was shattered. So I had to go buy a new phone. And he begged and pleaded for 2 weeks and finally convinced me, it was just, he's sorry, he'll never do it again, but he always does it again. And then came the day that you saw in the garage. That day he literally got mad at me.
Okay, he begged and pleaded for her to come back. That's hearsay. We still, again, Gary spoke with 2 hours with Mitch and like hours and hours with other people. I can't remember exactly who it was. Has he interviewed any of these people? No. As he said, well, Mitch, will you come on and hear the allegations of your wife? Can you explain them? No, that's what transparency is. This is backstabbing, witchery, bitchery.
Because he wanted the keys to the boat, and when I went to get them for him, I noticed the keys to my Mustang were gone, and I asked him where they were. And that started hours of abuse and yelling. And
so everything that you had talked about it was prior to that event there in the garage.
Yeah, that was the year before.
So the police come, I assume, and they arrest him. You do call the cops on him that time, right?
Yeah, we both called the police. They came and arrested him. They didn't really believe that he had, before the garage, he had picked me up. He had first pushed me into our computer desk, and it was broken on the floor behind me. And then he picked me up by
Okay, so he pushed her.
my, like the belt buckle on my pants and my shirt, and he literally is holding me so like my limbs are dangling down, and just walked me across the living room and dumped me on the floor. Our son is.
So he picked her up. She was misbehaving. Oh, I did that so one time with my eldest son. He wanted to stay. Anyway, I was like, no, I'm sorry. See, this is the advantage with a 2-year-old. You just sometimes have to say, no, I'm sorry. It is not possible at this moment for you to have whatever you want to have. We'll have it later, or you can't have it, whatever, but you cannot have it. And if you're going to throw a temper tantrum, then if we're in a situation where I can put them in a timeout corner, you go in a timeout corner and you can sit there and scream and yell, but no, until you calm down, then we're going to talk. But if you're in a public place, you just pick the kid up and you take them out and you put them in their seat and you say, you calm down and we will discuss. See, this is the kind of shit that's not being done and is exactly, I'm sorry, my heart goes out to Rob Reiner and his wife, but this is precisely these entitled narcissistic kids who have no limits, no boundaries. I said no, and it's no. And if you're going to throw a temper tantrum, as I say, you're in a controlled situation, you're in your home, whatever, you put them in a corner. Throw your temper tantrum. When you're finished, we will discuss in a calm. This is how they learn self-control and how to control their anger. You are getting angry, therefore your behavior, your reaction to this situation is not acceptable. I'm not gonna hit you like my, my mother or in my ex-husband's family. What no, hit the kid. No, nobody hits my kids. Your behavior is unacceptable. Time out. If we're in a public place where I'm not going to sit there while you hold everybody in here hostage while you throw your tantrum because you want this or you want that, you want a candy, you want this, whatever. You cannot have it. Well, then I will just pick you up and take you out. And you can scream and yell and all of that. And everybody's going to look at us, but I am not going to, oh God, this woman needs some good parenting.
Was in the room with us, and the whole time he's screaming, "You don't live here anymore. You're leaving. You're leaving. You don't live here anymore," and just dumped me at the front door. I was like, I am not leaving you with my son. Like,
well, if they were separated and she's in there in his face that she doesn't live there anymore, well, then she get out. I mean, she's in there instigating a conflictual situation.
whatever, I'm not, whatever you do. At one point he threatened to beat me bloody. I was like, do it. Because at that point I have nothing to lose, and I'm not leaving you with my son when you're doing this. Like, he's not going to be safe. And finally he went to the garage, and then he left through the big garage door. And I was inside calling the police, and he went, and I was leaning against the front door because he had his keys, he could get in. And not that I can stop him by leaning against the front door, but that's what I felt safe doing. And he went outside the front door and said through the door, "Are you calling the police?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Well, so am I." So they finally got there, and he left.
And once again, both.
But he didn't go that far away. He stopped down the road.
Police.
So they intercepted him. And they came in and talked to both of us, and they could see the damage to the truck.
Situation.
Not the truck, sorry, the car. And they could see the damage to our house, but they didn't know for sure if he had really been abusive to me because my clothes weren't ripped and I didn't have any marks. But they arrested him anyway.
Yeah, my clothes weren't ripped and I didn't have any marks. I mean, I get so angry by anybody who's using this system to favor themselves, because we have so many. When I started, this 2007, or no, 2000. This was beginning of 2008, and there was a case that I saw on the news of a woman who had been arrested for killing her children, because she killed her children because she had lost custody and she drowned her children. This is in Norway or Sweden, I can't remember. And the person in the comments said, no, what's happening? Because somebody was like, oh my God, just for, you lose custody of your children and you kill them? And somebody said, no, what's happening is these kids are ending up in, horrific abuse, and the mothers are so desperate that their children are better dead than in that kind of situation. And I can assure you, yeah, there's some real dark shit going on out there. Everybody wants to cover it up. Everybody wants to shut it up.
2 days later,
Gary Melton included,
came back, got out of jail, and
showed them those videos.
Yeah, so they believed he had done something to the car, so they charged him with malicious mischief for that. And then he got out, and when he came back, he broke into the house because he didn't have his keys when he was arrested, and he shattered the back window out completely of that Mustang and hit the front window multiple times until the whole thing is just shattered. Didn't break all. didn't break all the way, but it was completely,
So he broke into
like
his
spider
own
web cracks all across it.
because he didn't have the keys on him when he was arrested.
And he tried to say, when the police came, he tried to say that I had done it to frame him. And so they let him stay in my house. They didn't charge him with that. I never understood it, but they didn't charge him with that because there's no neighbors close enough to hear. So
Wait a second. She said he broke into his own house. That's not a crime. You can't charge somebody for breaking their own window.
they couldn't corroborate. But they let him stay, and I had to go stay somewhere else. And the next day, he was changing the locks while I was there, because he ordered me via text to come to give him his keys.
Well,
And he just locked himself in the house, didn't talk to the police anymore like he was supposed to. And the next day he left. And then he kept violating I got a protection order at that point, and then he kept violating it by calling me and texting me. And
why was he supposed to talk to the police? She said he didn't talk to the police like he was supposed to. What's that all about? And okay, so what are these protection orders about? This, perhaps when she gets into manipulations.
having other people send me notes and stuff. And he was like, he borrowed someone else's phone at one point to have them so he could send me a message through their phone so he could say, oh, it's not me. And finally, after the sheriff's officers were there enough times, they started believing me and seeing this is a pattern of abuse, and they took it more seriously. And
Well, no. Mitch says that after the police start showing up a lot, they see a pattern, and they see that it's actually her that is abusive. So at this point, we need to start bringing in the officers, the police officers from Benton County, Washington. You know, Gary, if you're going to start accusations like this, you better be able to prepare like Candace has done. Prepare your defense. Prepare your case. Make your case. But don't start on a witch hunt with bullshit like this.
he was charged. Eventually, he had violated my order enough that he was charged.
So is this all still 2016?
Yeah, that was all still 2016.
So at what point, who files for divorce, you or him?
He actually filed in 2017. I mean, we were done, and I wasn't going to go back, but I just didn't know. I didn't know what to do. I mean, I was trying.
So he's the one who files a year after all of this is happening.
Trying to come to terms with I had been abused for so long, and I didn't even understand half of what had happened to me, and I was trying to come to terms with that, and I was working full time.
Oh, I had been abused for so long, and I didn't realize what was happening to me. This is so Me Too, and this is all over the place with the Virginia Giuffre case and the accusations in the Epstein case. A lot of these girls are repeating this. This is very, very typical, and this is, this is criminal negligence on the part of the psychology community. Really bad consequences, this.
And had a son to raise. At this time, we had so many pets. So I just had a house full of stuff to take care of and deal with. And I just didn't know what to do as far as starting the divorce. So yeah, he eventually filed for it. And then
she didn't know what to do to file it for a divorce. Go to a lawyer and say, what do I need to do? I mean, this woman has some serious psychological problems.
That's just started years of more abuse and lies and accusations through the courts. And he's constantly tried to accuse me of things, do the divorce, call the police, accuse me of things. It's just been nonstop for years. And the stories just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And nobody believes him.
So I don't even.
No, nobody believes her. But okay. So Gary's getting like a little hot on the collar, like, okay, lady, finish up with your story. I brought you in here to hang the guy. So just get on with it.
Want to, and I don't know that we need to, but ultimately, without getting into details, he's done everything he can to, demonize you. He's claimed that you were physically abusing your son, that you were sexually abusing your son, that you were starving your son, that you were intentionally causing him to get sick. I've seen documents.
Yeah, see, Gary is giving a synopsis of, the accusations against this woman. And they are true, to my knowledge. I mean, from what I've looked at this case, yeah, Mitch's accusations against this woman are true.
That refute these things. I've gotten, you actually sent me a letter just recently, but there was more things that I had that you sent prior to regarding statements from doctors. You guys are still not divorced.
From doctors?
So what is?
Can you imagine? They're still not divorced. 10 years. Well, almost 10 years. 10 years going in. Well, okay. 8 years if it was started in 2017. Still. What the fuck?
Is currently the holdup of you getting away from him and breaking ties with this guy completely?
Currently, our divorce is no longer on the schedule. We had a pre-trial settlement conference last year, I think in November. Neither of us had lawyers at the time. I haven't had a lawyer in years. I've been doing this all on my own. He came to the courthouse. We were both there waiting for the judge, and he hired a lawyer right before that, and she literally served me with her notice of appearance in the courthouse. And then when it was her turn to go talk to the judge, she said, "Oh, I'm new to the case. I just started. I need time to come up to date with this. So we need to just cancel everything." And then never tried to get it rescheduled. And because of everything that had happened and kidnapping and the death threats against the judge, most of the judges have recused themselves. So we no longer can use a judge in Benton County. We have a judge assigned from a different county.
Death threat against the judges by Mitch Snow, and they're recusing themselves instead of issuing a warrant for Mitch's arrest. Doesn't make sense.
County. And so we have to go through this whole special sets process to get everything back on the schedule. And that was attempted to be done. And they kept saying, "Oh, yeah, we're waiting for an answer from the judge." And it still is not on the schedule. So, yeah, that's something that needs to get taken care of.
So I know, like, once you'd kind of broken things off, you guys are still going through this divorce. I don't think she was the only one, but I know that, like, Candace kind of got dragged into this too at some point and was basically tricked the same way that you were. And it also sounds like he demonized you to her and kind of had her working. She even said on the podcast and to me on the phone, like, he was trying to manipulate her into giving statements about you that she wasn't going to do. And as I understand it, you'd been kind of used to some extent in that same way against Gretchen. Talk a little bit about how he's manipulating these people around him in that manner.
He just constantly lies. He uses the current woman against the previous woman. He's had multiple women in his life since we split up. Candace was not.
It looks like it's the other way around. He constantly gets involved with, like, manipulative and abusive women. So the ones that he is dating will, like, work the other ones or collude with the other ones and stuff to manipulate. It's all about power and control. Everybody will tell you domestic violence is all about power and control. So it looks more like he's gotten in this dysfunctional pattern of getting into relationships with abusive women. And the new abuser will collude with the old abuser. I mean, that's like my mom colluded with my ex-husband when the whole thing, she was like, oh, he'll kill her and then I can milk him for money.
First, there were multiple before her. And he just convinces everybody of his sob story about the last woman and uses them to help. I mean, I believed him at first, because why wouldn't I, before I knew everything else?
Sure.
And, he started this case to pursue visitation. And I love this for her, that she countersued to terminate his parental rights. And we went through probably nearly $100,000. He took all of my savings. My mom gave me money as like a early inheritance. He spent all of that. He took loans out of my 401k.
Now, according to him, to Mitch, she milked him and she took his retirement and everything. And she milked him for all the money. Now, the problem is this is rampant. Each side is trying to grab as much as they can from the other side's assets. Of course, if you're a stay-at-home mom or dad, then you're not accumulating, assets or equity or anything by your own right, because you're working for free during that time. But this is a common game. This has got to stop. I mean, one of the cases that I demonstrate where this is, been used and to the detriment is Ariana Huffington. She was a sugar baby. Melania Trump is the same thing. Shanahan, what's her face? Nicole Shanahan was the vice president of Bobby Kennedy, same can of worms. But we see this, and this is particularly where I demonstrate, it's the high income women. If you get a lawyer, and that happened in my divorce. Does he have tons and hundreds of millions of dollars that we're going to go after him? I was like, no, it's just a couple million. So if the financial incentive is there, we're talking about lots and lots of these billionaires and things. So the wives will get money that they're not entitled to. In fact, like with Melania, same thing happened with Jackie O. They'll make a deal, a contract. No, I stay with the guy and you give me money for it. Well, that's not normal marriage contract stuff. It's been done, but it's just a form of prostitution.
I lost so much through that, and thankfully, at the end of the day, the judge saw him for who he was, and he terminated his parental rights. And of course, I couldn't say I was happy for her at the time, but
he terminated his parental rights. This is what she wanted the whole time. He hasn't seen his son. All he wants is to see his son. I live for the day to be reunited with my sons. Everybody laughs at me for it. Makes it real funny. They weren't going to think it's so funny when they start losing their own children.
I was so happy for her, because it was during that time, seeing all the things he would say about her and the way he would talk to me. He would tell me, you have to lie, you have to exaggerate in court documents for them to believe you. And I'm like, I'm not going to lie for you. I don't know her, and I'm not going to repeat this stuff.
That's exactly what Candace told me, that he told her as well, that you have to lie in the court documents. That's verbatim what she told me he said to her, talking about, building the case against you, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We already went through that. You have to lie. You're supposed to lie.
Surprise. I mean, he said horrible things about Gretchen, and I was like, that's not true, and you cannot write that. And he's like, it is true, and I'm going to write it. And it was just disgusting, despicable things, abusing her children the same way he said about me. I mean, as soon as we split up, his first thing was to call the police and say that I had told them that I was molested by my father as a child, which is not true. My dad was an amazing man who never hurt me. And because of that I had been molesting my son. And he didn't stop with the police. He called my closest friend.
Now, this, yeah, this is another pam pom, pam pom, pam pom, pam pom moment in the testimony of this woman. She was sexually molested by her father. She's sexually molesting her son. This is what the accusation is. Unfortunately, there was something with Candace Owens. She had on her X account, and I can't find it now. I know I saw it, and I'm almost positive it was her X account, of a video recording of a conversation between Candace, the girlfriend, Mitch, and his youngest son, who his youngest son didn't want to go back to his mom, didn't want to go back to his mom. She's mean, she's mean, she's mean. He was not being coached. In fact, his father was saying, you can't, you got to understand, you got to understand. And this is, the protective parent is being put under this situation where they're afraid of being separated from the abused child, because then the abused child has no support network. And this was important. She terminated visitation custodial rights. That was an important coup for her. And there's the video. I haven't found it yet. I'm almost positive it was on Candace's X account, but I know I did see it. And that clearly documents not only the abuse of the mother. Now, he didn't make any reference, but there is a note, and that is found in the documentary, the one on Rumble by Kat Espinda. I'm pretty sure it's the one on Rumble. And there, the child did write a note for the courts testifying to the abuse of the mother. So I don't know what documents Gary has looked at, but he's picked and choose whatever fits his agenda.
He called my relatives. He called my dad's sister. And she was like, no, your dad didn't do that. I was like, no, he did it. My dad was amazing. And here he is. He's wearing my dad's name and trying to accuse my dad of these things so that he could accuse me of these things. It was horrific. And then it keeps getting worse since then. But
if Mitch was aware of these things, it would have been because she told him. He wouldn't have been around when she was a child. She is the one who would have told him that she had been sexually molested.
I have been investigated by CPS. I have been investigated by police. I have gone through the court system and had a few protection orders granted. Every single time I am put through absolute hell, but at the end of the day, they don't believe him. No charges are brought against me because it's all a lie. And it's just the same pattern that he's been doing for 30 years or, his whole life. I don't know. But the lies keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and worse and worse.
Now, the thing is, yesterday, and I'll have to find that video. I should have looked at that before, but I think I can let's do a pause. No, that pauses my screen sharing. Not sure if I can do pause here. Yeah, I don't think I can do. I think I can only pause my screen sharing. Okay, so I'll have to look for that. But there is another video in that. That would prove that.
And You know, 2 years ago, it culminated with him kidnapping my son and absolutely brainwashing an innocent little boy.
Kidnapping her son and brainwashing him.
Told him that I was fake nice, that I don't love him, and that he would never have to see me again.
So there is court documentation of that, folks. How long did number one, the court had to intervene and
Promising that he would never have to see her again. I mean, except in the cases of the most horrific abuse. This, you'll never see your child again. That is not that's not good. And I mean, you can ask anybody on both sides of the pond. My children are everything to me. The only thing that keeps me going day after day after day after day after day after day is my desire to be reunited with them. I mean, Christmas is the worst time for me. Everybody finds it's real funny. That's what's really disgusting about the whole thing. How amused everybody is by my pain and suffering. And then they turn around and make themselves look like these, you know, caring people like Gary. And I mean, this hypocrisy just pisses me off so much.
And I believe it's called habeas corpus.
Yeah,
Basically demand and have a court order that he return your son to you. How long did Mitch have Nate?
He had him for 90 days.
Gary, let me put you in contact with Maria Jose Carrascosa. 8 years filing habeas corpus in New Jersey courts. I mean, this kind of whitewashing bullshit to cover up the problems in the court just makes my blood boil like you can't imagine.
And yeah, during that time, he got a temporary protection order. I went and defended against that on my own. And I got his protection order thrown out. I got a protection order entered. This started in March. On April 25th, I got a protection order granted, and he was ordered to return my son. He did not.
This is the big prize for the abusers. They're the abusers, yet they get the protection order against their victims. They think that is the funniest thing and the greatest thing in the world. How to they just, you know, it's how to manipulate the system, how to manipulate the system to make it look like you're the good guy.
On May 31st, I finally got a writ of habeas corpus, and that basically gives an order to the sheriff's department to go pick him up. And I put, you know, they have these check marks that you can put. Should he be arrested if he fights? Does he have weapons? Can we use force? And I just checked yes to everything because I'm like, whatever you guys have to do, you do it. And I didn't think the judge would allow it. She's like, nope, this all looks good. And she signed off on it. And
yeah, go after him with everything you got, guns. I didn't think the judge would allow it, but she said, okay, yeah. Benton County, Washington really needs to be investigated.
The clerk took me to get all the paperwork in order and then took me over to the sheriff's department, and they questioned me on his past, how I thought he would respond, if he has weapons. And they were ready. I spoke to an officer the next day in court, and he said that they had a lot of people there. There were a lot of officers, but they did it very safely so that my son did not know. There were just a couple people that went to the door. They said we had people all over that place, but, you know, like unmarked cars, and they were just there ready.
Oh, this is the same type of shit that my ex-husband pulled when he took custody of my children and the crap that they pulled. Yeah. I mean, Gary, you're really, really, really looking for a fight with somebody that... Me. That, yeah, not a good idea. You think you're a tough man? Well, I admit, you could kill me with a... No problem. You know, beat me the pulp. Physically, I'm no match for you. I agree. That's why it's not a fair fight. Put us 1-to-1 using brain power. Oh, buddy, I'll bust your butt.
And waiting in case they were needed. He goes, but your son wasn't traumatized. He didn't know what was going on. And it went off okay.
That's
he got him.
Bullshit.
You know, they got
wasn't
him.
Traumatized. I'm sick of that.
The
bullshit.
next day we went back to court, and I was given my son back. And
so he
took
had
time.
him. He had him for 90 days, and at the beginning of that, he got a protection order against you. Is that what I understand?
Yeah, he got a temporary protection order the day it was weird because he had his usual visit. I went on a Wednesday morning to pick him up. He was there. He was literally leaving the parking lot as I was pulling in. And I never understood, why were you even there if you're not going to give him to me? But he went directly from there. Our exchanges were done at the Richland Police Station. So he went from the Richland Police Station and drove to the Kennewick Police Station. So all these cities are right next to each other. And accused me of all these horrific things. And then went to the Benton County Courthouse to get the protection order against me. And the whole time he was doing this, he was texting me because I texted him. I was like, why'd you leave? Bring him back. You have to return him to me. And he kept stringing me along the whole day. Like, oh yeah. Oh, you were late. It's your fault. I have to go to Walla Walla. And then later it was, I'll get a friend to bring him. And then he just stopped talking to me. And then finally he's like, okay, I'll bring him to you at 9 tomorrow morning. And so I went back and he didn't come. And I didn't know at the time it was because he had been at the police making all these false statements and getting a protection order. But like, even while he's lying about me, he was also lying to me with this different story just to like mess with me more. And it just started.
What was his predicate for getting that protection order? What was he accusing you of at that time?
He accused me of physically and sexually abusing my son, of starving him. The same things he says in that podcast. But
sure.
No, I went to court and the judge was like, no, this isn't believable. So he terminated his thing. I was like, well, what about my son? He goes, well, that's not what's in front of me today. What's in front of me is terminating, renewing this order or not. So you have to file something else for that. So I did. And I filed. And he would get things pushed back because all of a sudden, he'd hire a lawyer. He's done this so many times. He'll hire a lawyer last minute so that they can push cases back. So I had to wait weeks more to have my day in court. And then he didn't follow the order anyway. He just laughed about it.
So now you've had a protection order against him for how long?
In this instance, I've had it since April 25th of 2023. But because my son was added to it in June of that year, I can only have it for a year. So I have to go back every year and get it extended.
And how many protection orders have you had against him consecutively?
I think so right now I've had this one and renewed twice. So 3 in the past 3 years. Before that, I had at least twice. I had them in the past, but I didn't realize I could get them renewed back then. And, my first lawyer was terrible and didn't tell me that. It didn't help me.
I didn't realize I could get them renewed. I mean, this whole thing, I remember when I got back to the States in 2009, I was like with my sister, I was like, what the hell is this? You got lawsuits every time I turn around, you're suing somebody? Protection orders all over the freaking place? I mean, they asked me if I wanted a protection order for my ex-husband. I was kind of like, well, little too late, you guys. Crazy. And believe me, the courts and the judges and the lawyers are laughing all the way to the bank. They think this thing is real funny.
Without like he should have been, so it just expired. And I was like, well, okay, I guess I'm just not going to be safe anymore. And then he'd do something else, and eventually I'd go back and
because I don't have a protection.
Try to file another one.
Oh my God!
Now Gretchen was telling me that she knows, and that not Gretchen. I'm sorry, Candace was telling me that she knows that he was violating these orders all the time, that he would actually leave his phone with Candace and then take her phone and actually
See, it's all about getting the orders of the court, and then people like Gary, we just got to implement what's going on in the orders of the court, and we don't care if the court's been fucking
go
up.
drive by your house, go to your house. Tell us a little bit about that. And I don't even know how much you know. She was just telling me this. I was like, Jesus Christ, it's crazy.
In 2019, we had bought a house together. It still only had my name on it because he has no credit history, but we bought a house out in the country. And in 2019, I was finally allowed to sell it. When I sold it, he was harassing both my son's first grade teacher and my realtor to tell him where I had moved to. I was like, why are you harassing these women? He went so far as to file a court motion to demand my address. Never gave a single reason why he needs it. I mean, he could have put in, I need to know for our son's safety where she's at, that she's in a good neighborhood. He didn't put anything like that, just demanded to know my address. And the judge not only said no, but she gave me an order prohibiting him from knowing my address. And 6 months later, my son was getting an IEP at school, and they sent out via email on a Sunday morning the first draft of it. And right on the very first page, there's my address. And I called them Monday morning, hysterical and screaming, and they were like, oops, sorry. I'm like, you just completely endangered me and my son. The little bit of peace I had for 6 months, you just took and shattered. So thanks for that. And they were like,
she's getting up on a public platform across the world saying that her husband is an abuser. If anything that she says to lie is a lie, she can be held to account, and Gary can be held to account for giving her a platform. And not even, I mean, if he was doing it in good faith, well, that's one thing. But he has not investigated what's going on here.
No, we can't do anything. And right after that, my son started saying, yeah, Mom, we went to the gas station across from the house when I was with Dad. Like every visit, they're suddenly going to the gas station across my house. So I didn't know about the middle of the night stuff, but I definitely knew he was taking my son and stalking me with our son in the car.
He's stalking her with their son in the car. I mean, the allegations of this woman are pretty crazy.
So he was taking your son. Like, how was he getting access to Nate?
Even Gary is sitting there trying to figure out, like, what's going on here. But see, he hasn't done his homework, so he can't figure it out.
At this other location?
Because he had visits. So we had, he had just regular visits. And yeah, he still had visitation at that time. And we didn't ever meet. We met at like a store at one point, and then it was changed to the Kennewick Police Station, and then it was changed to supervised visits after he was so out of control there. So he'd had him, but as soon as, he'd get in the car with him and then drive past my house with him. And so I only assumed he was stalking me more. He's going to be that blatant with my son. Yeah. And if he's being that blatant with my son in the car, I was terrified of what he was doing without my son in the car. So I didn't know I had no way of knowing exactly what he was doing, but I'm not surprised to find that information out.
Well, let me ask you this: Does he currently have visitation rights or anything like that? Any parental rights with your son now? Where does that stand?
The judge, when she added my son to my protection order in June of 2023, she threw out the parenting plan, and he's not allowed within 1,000 feet of either of us.
See? 2023, not allowed in 1,000 feet from either one of them. This is the typical manipulation. So she's subverting like any custody agreement by getting this, protection order and against them. And that's how she's keeping his son from her. I mean, as I say, 19 years, everybody else having a great time. Country has gone from 10 trillion in debt in 2008 to 38, going on 39 trillion now. But hey, ho, we had a good time doing it. And all I've been wanting in all of that time is just I count every single year another year without my sons. This is the type of stuff that Gary is supporting. Really, really disgusting. Really disgusting.
The first year I had it renewed, that judge did tell him very clearly that you can seek out visitation. Having a protection order does not preclude you from having visitation. A judge shouldn't be giving you legal advice. They say that all the time to people in a courtroom, but there he was.
You have a protection order, yet you have visitation rights. See how it's working there?
Giving him legal advice, and he hasn't taken it. He hasn't filed for visitation. He likes to say that there is this big conspiracy and I'm keeping him from his son, but he was flat out told he could file for it.
He could file for it. Give me some more money. We're going to file for it. You're not going to be able to touch your kids. Oh, God. As I say, 20 years, we're at the International Criminal Courts under these issues. Nuremberg style laws in the United States. So this woman, oh God, I hope to see this woman in the Nuremberg trials too. Really.
And he has chosen not to. He would rather go on these podcasts and say, oh, poor me, she doesn't let me see my kids, which is exactly what happened with Gretchen. Oh, poor me.
Oh God, this is so. Oh, see, all he does is go on these podcasts and say, like, poor me. This is the typical women and men. This is their only recourse is to go to the press. But the press, look what they do with these cases. Candace says, what do I care? It's not my problem. And Gary Melton, he's looking away. He criticizes everybody for all the money. What? The last 3 or 4 of his podcasts have been dedicated to this. How much money has he earned from these things? I'd like to know.
She doesn't let me see my kids.
It's hard to grift without that type of problem. If he was able to see him, then he wouldn't have a leg to stand on.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta tell you, like, emotionally, that's enough for me on that. I mean, I think we've hit
emotionally,
all the
that's
high
enough.
points. I know there's, again, you shared more information about what's going on with that. After more from Candace on that. Let's do this. Folks, we're going to go through and we're going to take some questions. I'll tell you right now, if it is a question for Lanee, it better be respectful, or I don't care if you paid $1,000. I'm not going to repeat the question. So I think you prepare with hard questions or anything like that, but again, be respectful for it. And she's our guest and she's sharing her story and she's brave to do so. So treat her in kind. Hi, Gary. Today I ran across Wolves in Finance, the last episode with Tyler about Tyler Boyer. Have you seen it? What do you think if you have? I have not seen that, but I will check that out.
That's not really a question for her. So
threatened me in the last few days and doxing me on X. I haven't threatened anybody. That's crazy.
Here, so let's go on this one.
Dude. Thank you, Dom C303. We appreciate that. I saw this earlier. Hit it. Gary, you were trying to threaten Ian or Mitch. I heard you was. I'm not threatening anybody. I don't know where this is coming from, but it doesn't surprise me. I've not threatened anybody. I've had a lot of people threaten me in the last few days.
Yeah, well, that's going to be interesting to find out. What are these threats about?
And doxing me.
Because there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes between these guys. They're, they tweet and they text message, they call. I mean, Jesse on Fire has admitted that. Gary Melton has admitted that.
On X, I haven't threatened anybody. That's crazy. So, no. When is your video with Chase Hughes coming out? I'm still editing it, and I thought I'd be done with it by now, but
Yeah, well, okay. They don't seem to be asking any questions of the spouse.
well, we have video
Okay, here it
evidence,
is.
and luckily she did. This is heartbreaking. My God, that poor woman. Yeah, one thing I want to say, Lanee, is I've
199.
just seen a lot of people, that empathize and sympathize with you, and
See, that's what get her. I mean, I've been trying for 20 years. I've been trying to get the press. I mean, my case or my story or any of the others. Won't touch it with a 10-foot pole. But when there's money to be had, ooh, Lord.
yeah, there's a lot of people on your side. I'll just say that.
Thank you.
Shout out
I
to all my
appreciate
fellow,
that.
yeah, shout out to all my fellow veterans. Check on your battle buddies. Have a safe and prosperous New Year. Gary's a real one. Thank you, Roman. And
Oh,
thank you.
God. I mean, they've been trashing. They've just been trashing one of their vets. Their battle buddies. And then somebody's going to post that?
For your service, buddy. It's a miracle she made it out alive. God bless her. I agree. I could have turned very differently for her and her son.
Oh, this
In honor of Candy,
this fake sympathy just makes me want to vomit.
Charlie Kirk. The truth should set you free, Candy. Keep telling the truth, Gary.
Okay. I don't think we really get much. Okay, so yeah, we'll end it there. I just wanted to basically document her testimony with Gary online and add my comments. And as I say, this has been submitted to the International Criminal Courts, all of these problems within the International Courts. People like Gary who are using the pain and suffering of its victims in or for personal and financial profit are going to have to answer for that. He doesn't want to. No. He's gotten some emails from me, just like all of the podcasters. They're on the list. I've been emailing them. Please check out my podcast. Look what's going on. You better integrate all of these problems. If you have any, integrate these problems into your own analysis and what you're doing. If you have any problems, you're more than welcome to email me, or we can talk on the phone. It's confidential. I will remain confidential, but nobody cares. I've been canceled. I'm not liked online or offline. So who gives a shit? I should just go and jump off a bridge. Yeah. So that's basically the situation. Okay, so have a nice evening. Well, gosh, I guess we are New Year's Eve. Maybe I'll post something on New Year's Eve. At midnight, excuse me.